The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to Aging Like a Badass. I'm Kimberly Price, your 40-something host, and I'm on a mission to create the trusted spaces to help you navigate life's wrinkles. Hide from uncomfortable conversations? Not a chance. The raw and real is the rocket fuel that ignites change, and there is no better time than the present to excavate the messy and activate your inner superpower to create a life you love. So stick around and get ready to learn the tips, tricks, and truths to age like a badass, because wrinkles aren't the problem, they're the solution. Welcome back to Aging Like a Badass. Today's guest, oh my goodness, Kelly Fischer from Business Accelerate Mentoring is going to talk to us about strategy. She's a native Brazilian. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's an amazing human who has been helping me along my journey of really putting structure to something, a dream that I've had for the last 14 years. So I'm excited to have her on the show today to share some of her business strategies, who she is as an individual, a little bit about her amazing story, and a whole lot more. So welcome, Kelly.
Hello, Kimberly. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
I'm so grateful to be here and so excited for our conversation. So thank you.
Super excited today. It's funny, I was listening to the intro and I was thinking to myself, this is one of, I think I've got 3 more episodes before I call it maybe a retiring of Aging Like a Badass. Who knows? Maybe we'll come back at some point. But the idea that I'm exiting while I'm still in my 40s. So whenever I come back, I may have to change that intro to the 50-something.
Yeah. And I love the part that says wrinkles is not a problem. It is a solution. It is a sign of wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's funny because when I created that, I actually had a guest on the show that at one point in time said, if you really think about that, wrinkles don't have to have anything to do with your physical body. It's all about the wisdom, which I hadn't ever really thought of it that way. So that was good insight. Awesome. Good insight. Well, I am so excited to have you here today as a friend, as a mentor, business coach, a fellow woman in the world of, being an entrepreneur and, setting the way for other women in the world. So we've got some fun things to explore today.
For sure. I'm excited too, because I believe we have these many positions in our life. So we need to work in a holistic way, that we are women, we are mothers, and we are professionals. So we need to work and balance all together to be living a high performance at the same time, living with work-life balance. So
yeah, absolutely. And so I want to say a couple of things before we get started. I want to talk about your story. It was one of the things that impacted me the most. I want to share how we met, because I think that was pretty divine, and just what we've been doing and what you're doing, because as you're mentoring and sharing the things that you've learned and stepping into, this new, essentially it's a new business for you too, that you've been working on for some time. You're growing. And what I want the listeners to know, and I want women to hear, is it's never too late. I don't talk a lot about my age. You know that I'm 40 something, but I'm 48 years old. And it's really easy to get into this feeling of, I've hit this point in life where I'm halfway, so to speak. And, I can look back on my life and I can think, gosh, have I done the things that I wanted to do? And am I too old now to do the things that I want to do moving forward? And over the course of the last 4 years, in a lot of the interviews that I've done, I've been deeply inspired by women in their 60s, their 70s, and even their 80s who are starting their life again. They're starting a new business, they're starting a new venture, whatever that is that it is in their life. So I want women to hear today, and men to hear today, you're not too old ever to start something new. And there really is no such thing as stuck, right? We're constantly refining ourselves in the things we do. So as you listen today, I hope that you find hope and inspiration and motivation, really, to keep moving forward towards those dreams that you have. Kelly is great at inspiring those dreams. And so let's talk about how we met. So I would love to hear your version of how we met, and then I'll tell my version.
Okay, so my version is, so I have my company. I started my company actually in 2019, but I decided to focus on and work full-time in my company was last year, when I moved from home office to an office, a real space, and full-time work on that. And then in January, God gave me a new direction for the company. He told me, it's time to accelerate. I want you to develop something to prepare the business owners, to help them to grow with the strategy and grow faster, because they are going to invest in the kingdom. I'm Christian, I am believer, and I always use my profession as my missions call and my company as my mission field. So I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? So he helped me to get all my experience as business owner and all the knowledge that I was studying about business, and put all together in this 90 days mentoring program called Accelerate. So because the direction was, it's time to accelerate on the journey. You are going to prepare the path for the kingdom, for the king to come. I was like, okay, God, so I need to do that. So I developed this mentoring program, 90 days, and I started to promote that. But the way I promoted was with my Kingdom in Business videos that I started to post on social media. So bringing the business principles, business language through the biblical principles. So I put all together, and I started to do like a bunch of videos talking about kingdom in business. And then one day, Kimberly reached out to me and inviting me to be with her at the podcast. And I was like, okay, let me know better about your podcast, because God gave me a real, like, clear strategy. And if it's not aligned, I cannot do this. So, and then we met, and was amazing, the conversation and how God put all together, and was completely aligned with God gave to me the Accelerate. And she joined the Accelerate mentoring, and it has been an amazing journey together.
Yeah, it has. It's been incredible and absolutely divine, for sure.
Yes.
And so similar, yes, I had reached out. I had seen Kelly's profile and saw the videos that she was doing, reached out just in Messenger on Instagram behind the scenes, and asked if she would be interested in being a guest on the podcast. And I think this was back in maybe April. I think it was all the way back in April.
Yeah, I think so.
And I had relaunched at that point doing video, and had this new, I don't know, I had a new spark in me to do some things differently. And I've had some amazing women over the last few months. And I think this was one of the only openings left until the end of August. And so during this journey, we've worked together. Kelly's been my mentor, my business coach. For the first time in my business, with this vision that I've had for 14 years, I have a structure. I've aligned that with all of the pieces of the puzzle that have been worked on and, over the last 14 years. And one of the things I think that was the most impactful for me, and it was, we did not get into a conversation to have Kelly sell me anything. We were just in conversation, and she was telling me her story. And as we neared the end of the conversation, it was just a natural fit to come to this place to work together.
Yeah.
And I loved that about her. And I loved you. I loved that about you. And I loved I loved your story. And I think it's so important that you share that, because there are so many of us that get into this space of, I can't do this. I don't have enough, right? Like the not enough syndrome. I'm not enough. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough anything to be able to move forward in the way that I want to move forward. That in here is saying, come on, you can do this. But there's something up here that's not clicking, telling me I can't do it. I can't do it. And when I heard Kelly's story of, she's Brazilian and was living in Brazil, and how she came to the United States. So I want you to share that, because I want people to hear that even when everything is stacked against you, and it was, coming here was not an easy decision. There was a huge language barrier. There was an education barrier. Who she was in Brazil, very successful in her work there and what she was doing. But she's had this vision since she was a little girl, and she answered the call and she obeyed despite every obstacle that was in front of her. And now she's in the United States living that dream. And so I just want to say, if you can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Anybody.
And sometimes we just need accountability. Sometimes we just need a cheerleader. Sometimes, we just need that one story that somebody tells to motivate us to keep moving forward. So share your story, please.
Sure. Yeah. Like Kimberly said, actually, I have a call, just little kid to be in a missions, to be missionary. So I grew up knowing that. And so when I decided to go to college, actually, I am architect. And my father didn't want me to be architect. He wanted me to be a doctor and to go to medicine and do studying to be a doctor. And I was like, but he had a construction company and I want to work with him. So I decided to do architectural. And that day, he was against, and God used a prophet to say to him, you need to accept, because she's going to nations through her profession. And then he accepted that, and I graduated and I started to build my business as architect. So I built my business in the south of Brazil. Like Kimberly said, I was very successful with 110 clients, active clients in 2012, 2013. And then I was living my dream with the perfect family, with the perfect business, and being successful and making a lot of money. And then one day, my partner said to me, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm leaving. And I was partner in life and business. And I was like, okay. So I went through a very hard time. I don't say depression, because I didn't allow the depression to come. So I searched for help right away. So I went to a healing process, emotional intelligence training, and all of that. So during this healing process and seeking God, I realized that I was arrogant, thinking that I could run a business as architect. I had my company for almost 10 years, but I was in the operations. I was working as architect. I was not thinking with a strategy. So when something happened that changed completely my perfect globe and broke everything, I just lost everything. And I went through losing my business, because I didn't have this strategy in place and this planning in place. I was operating as architect. So I told God, I'm sorry for that. And I want to learn how to run a business, because if you want to give me another business, I want to be a good steward. I want to do that, and I want to be a good steward. So I started to do my MBA and all courses that I found about finances, business, about people, emotional training, and all of that for me to be able to rebuild my business. So while working as self-employed, as architect, I was helping some friends with their businesses. And I was like, wow, what I'm applying in my business by myself is working, and helping my friends is working as well. So I can do this. I can do this as a profession. So I asked God permission to change my profession, because He told my father to accept architecture in my life. So I asked for permission, and He gave me the permission. And after starting the transition from architecture to business coach, I came to US the first time in 2017, and was like the vacation time, and bringing my son to see his father that was living here. And then the second time was 2018. And then when I was in the flight, uh, inside the airplane, God told me it's time to move. And I was like, okay, what does it mean? I went back home, and I was like, God, this is happening. I'm transitioning my career. I'm starting a new business. And what do you mean it's time to move? So I need to sell my apartments. I need to sell my stuffs. I need to do the surgery. So if this happen in this time frame, I understand that it's time for me to go. And everything happened in 3 months. I was like, okay, I burned the bridge. So it's time to go.
Yep.
And then I moved in January 2019, and I remember like the last night in Brazil with my family, because I spent the whole month like with them to say goodbye to them. I remember I was freaking out. I was like so scary, because I think I realized, like, it's a new language, is a new profession, is a new business, is new everything. And then God reminded me of Coronel Sanders. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
was like, if he started KFC with the 60s, 70s, you can do that with 41 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, God, if he did that, I can do it. So I came with this mindset. If he did, I can do it. I'm only 41 years old. So, and then I started learning the language. And I remember I was very skinny at that time. I was jogging and running every morning, listening podcasts like yours. And I put it 2 times the speed for me to learn how to listen faster, because I used it to say, oh, can you speak slowly for me to understand? I was like, no, 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 no. I am in their country. I need to learn with them. I need to learn how to speak the language and how to listen fast. So I was listening kind of the worst people in 2 times the speed for me to train my listening. Anyway, so this way I started here. And when you are immigrant, you are nothing. So you are not architect, you are not business coach, you are nothing. You don't have an idea, you don't have anything. So until the visa process sent to you the work permit and the social security, you don't have anything, and you live kind of for 1 year, 2 years without doing anything. But even though God blessed me, and 2 months that I was here, 3 months I started like cleaning houses like everybody. But 3 months here, God blessed me with my first architectural project, and I did a project of a supermarket in Apopka, in a Mexican supermarket, and it was amazing, because was God telling me, I told you there in 1996 that I'm going to send you to nations through your profession. And then a month later from this project, I closed my first business coach client. So he blessed me with both professions. And I
Mm.
was 41 years old, not knowing completely the language. I was not fluent, even Spanish or English. And I closed to clients with 4 months that I was here. Um, and then I started to develop my company and develop my business through that while I was doing Master of Divinity, because of what God told me, it's time to study the eternal. So I started to study Master of Divinity and developing all the business with this business mindset.
Mm.
So today I'm 45 years old. And
45 years young.
yeah, yeah, 45. And I run my business as a woman owned business. And I'm helping many business owners fulfilling what God told me. Many business owners, Americans, like he told me, because much of people was like, Kelly, why don't you try to go to the Brazilian community? And I was like, no, because God told me that I need to help and teach Americans. And I know it was scary for me because in Brazil, we always learn with Americans. We learned many things, ministry and business with Americans. And I was like, God, how am I going to teach them? Because I always learned with them. So how am I going to teach the Americans? And God is honoring and he's fulfilling his promises and his word in my life. And not only Kimberly out of the state, out of Florida, but now I have a law firm as a client in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm so excited to do that because this particular firm, I need to fly there because it's kind of a done for you, putting all the system in place. So it's excited, and everything started with this word in a airplane. It's time to move.
I love it. I love it. And I love how God's taken, architect as it can be a very expansive term. It doesn't have to mean just physical buildings and architecture, design of buildings, right? We can have that of our life. We can have that of our health. We can look at our finances. But we need a structure, a foundation, and the framework and all of the different parts on the outside of that and everything that we do. And so the way that he's taken that and then, translated that into a mission, like you said, ultimately for the greater kingdom, being able to work with entrepreneurs that, like the vision that I have and how impactful that's been. And what I loved about the work that we've done together is, it's interesting. You and I haven't had an opportunity, and you can go back and splice this as part of my testimony. But one of the things I haven't been raw and real about the feelings and the sentiment at first. So I knew I needed to say yes. I prayed about it and I just knew it was a knowing that I had. But when I said yes, the thoughts that went through my mind were, I have done a million things. I have. And one of the reasons I wanted to say no is because prior to you and I working together, a lot of the things that I've said yes to, I'm a yes person. I'm the person that sits in a seminar and they go to sell whatever. And I'm like, yes, I want to do that. I'm that person, right? So what happened over time and doing that over and over and over and not first, taking the time to really vet what it is that I was saying yes to and or praying about it and asking, is this the next thing that I'm supposed to do? I always went my own way and then said, hey, God, do you want to come along with me? And so I ran into a lot of brick walls. And over time, I deteriorated the trust in myself. So when something like you comes along with what in the moment because I'm a yes person, it sounded amazing. There was an immediate feeling of distrust in myself of, are you just doing one more thing, Kim? Is this just one more thing you're going to say yes to that has nothing to do with where you're at or what you need to do? But because of the journey I had been on, I was able to pause and say, okay, let me take some time with this. Let me pray about it, make a decision. And then, obviously that answer came to me very clearly. And so the first it was really in the first session, the second part of my personality kicked in. And I didn't share this either, but the second part of my personality is I like to go fast. Yeah. I want to do as much as I can do it in as short a period of time as I can do it. And that is my hyper focus. But I kept reminding myself, slow down, slow down. She's done the work. She's the expert. Don't try to push what she's put together, assuming that you know more than she knows, because I knew nothing about what you taught me. And so I really had to back myself up a lot. I had to remind myself that no, the next 7 days you're doing this. And then you're going to get back together with her again, and she's going to give you the next 7 days work that you need to do. And then we're going to build this brick by brick. We're going to bring all these pieces together that I've had out here for a long time. We're going to put this all together in a foundation. And what was amazing about that was that you talk about the foundation of what you're doing being built in the Word and built in Him. For the first time in all of this time of knowing that this was a vision that had been laid on my heart by God, I'd never thought to build the foundation on His Word. And that started to come into play. As I was reading things, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is this part of it. And this fits here. And, all these pieces started to come together. And then exponentially, over the 3 months that we've worked together, for the first time since I've had this vision, I have a structure. I have a blueprint. I have a plan.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
And comes the architectural background right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I remember in 2021, I had a coach session with one of Tony Robbins' coaches. And he was like, I was trying to pull away the architectural side of my past because of the wounds and everything like that. And he was like, no, Kelly, you need to use that because you have a unique way to teach and to coach others exactly because of your architectural mindset, because the way you put all together comes from your architectural background. Yeah. And then he told me something, you are architect of successful businesses.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, wow, I've never thought about that. And this is the way my brain works, putting all together. So even that we want to, as dominant influencers, we want to go fast, but we need to build the foundation. Yeah. And when we are building a building, a huge business, a building, the foundation takes sometimes 4 months, 6 months.
Yeah. 14 years. No.
Yeah, people don't see anything for a while and then all of a sudden this big business with 30 floors. But everything started with the foundation for 6 months, 8 months that nobody was seeing anything.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you use the example of blueprint, foundation, and everything like that, because come along with the architectural side. The way I structure the things and I help others and I help with the business coaching is the way my brain works. So we need to build the foundation first, and then we will see the rest. So now, after the 90 days that you are going to launch your business, we will see the big building.
Yeah. Yeah. So patience, right? Having patience.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most impactful things that you keep saying, over and over is having the patience is important. But as the CEO of the company, Kim, you have to know the structure. You have to know the blueprint. You have to know how all of the pieces work. You don't have to be all of the pieces. You don't have to work in all of the pieces all the time. But that was really impactful for me because as someone I'm highly ADHD. And I think some people, don't understand exactly what that means. We have a lot of ADHD diagnosis today that actually isn't, it's just distraction versus an actual diagnosis. But for somebody that has lived with, I've had this diagnosis since I was in high school, very long time ago, at a time that it was not overdiagnosed. In fact, it was sort of a disability at the time to be diagnosed with ADHD. But we can have a hyper focus that is just as damaging as the squirrel syndrome that we have. So, learning to manage that, over time, I came into the process with you and every other coach that I've had over the last 5 years. And I've said, I just can't do that. I'm just not good at that. I'm not good at the detail. I'm just not. Now I can put a strategy together because I can hyper focus to get that strategy. I can stay in detail with a vision kind of at the end of it, but you really wrap that back into, Kim, you don't have to stay here long. Look at this as short increments. Learn what you need to learn, stay here just for the amount of time you need to stay here. And then you can fly forward in the areas as a visionary, as a creator.
Yeah. And this is the strategic mindset that all CEO and business owner need to have, because the tendency is to start a business from the hobby or something that I like to do, or even from the profession, or left the job and started business from the area of expertise, and then start to gain clients and start to do selling, but then stay in the operations and don't think as a visionary in the long term. So only the day to day. So what I help people to do, it is to think strategically, to think as the top of the pyramid, where you can see all the structure. Even as a small business owner, you need to work on the three aspects: CEO, strategic, tactical, as executive, or operations as a technician. You can think always with the strategic mindset and work on the others, knowing what you need to do, because anytime when you need to hire someone, you know exactly where to put this person and what to ask for her to do and how to evaluate and measure the results of their work. So that's what I helped Kimberly with, because her personality type and behavior profile style using the DISC methodology is influencer. So it's typical of the influencer to think too much, to be the visionary, and at the same time to be all over the place and don't like routine. Yeah. So this is one of the things that I helped her as well. So to adapt. So let's stretch a little bit. Let's work on the strategic, be more slow pace to be strategic and planning that. And then we go back to your natural and put into action right away and be the fast pace.
Yeah.
So this was good too, because like you said in your testimonial, you learned how to slow pace, follow the plan, and then now it's time to put into action and be your natural again.
Yeah.
And go out, connect with people, and make this happen. So
yeah, it's been great. And I would, you have a natural gift, this gift of being able to really There are lots of business coaches out there that take things from books and recite those. Okay, step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this. And I can't tell you how many times I've had business coaches say, Kim, just do it. These are the 3 steps, just do it. But what you do that's beyond the just do it is you understand the person. And I think that's the key to what you do. And it's the gift that you have, is until you understand the person and help them to understand themselves.
Yeah.
There isn't just a just do it for a person like me. It doesn't work that way. My brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so all of the different activities that we did and the ways that we did it, and the movies that you had us watch, and the books that you had us read, and the way we had conversation, and the way you broke down, I want to expand on, Kelly doesn't just do a DISC analysis. I did that years ago when I worked for a company where you have them fill it out and you're a D, an I, an S, or a C, and you review each of those characteristics. And, oh yeah, that's amazing. And I've always known that I was a DI, but I didn't know what that meant. And Kelly goes into that in several different activities that teach you how you're that way and why you're that way and how to use it and how to use the different ones, how to speak to different people, and how to analyze when you meet somebody in the first 5 to 10 minutes to know, what they possibly are, so that when you're having a conversation, I'm not speaking from my DI personality to somebody that's a C.
Yeah.
And those things are so important.
Yeah. This is amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Do you want to come and work with me and be my sellers, my
Yes,
sales?
absolutely. Yes. Yes. No, it's been life-changing. And I think, people need to know that you're not just another business coach. There's a bigger, and there's a heart. There's more of a heart there. Your heart is for helping people build their dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. I truly believe that. I truly believe each one of you guys that I'm coaching, every new business owner, I always say it is with a holy fear that I sit with each one of them, because it's not a one client or only one more sale that is coming to my business. No, I am building their businesses, their dreams, something that you will leave as a legacy for your family. So I have a huge responsibility to help you to achieve this mindset, for you to be able to go through everything 3 years, 5 years from now, and then maybe can come back to me, or maybe hire another business coach or another expert. But I need to prepare you to build that will be to impact generations and to impact to leave a legacy for your family. So it is with a holy fear that I sit with each one of the business owners that I work with, because I know the responsibility God is putting in my heart and my hands to help each one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
How important, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions. How important do you think that it is that somebody understands themselves before either starting their own business, and or if they're in a place where maybe they're stuck and or they want to grow their business? How important is understanding themselves, and how open are entrepreneurs in general? And I know we statistically aren't going to know this, but in your opinion, how open do you feel like entrepreneurs are to learning about themselves so that they can start their business and or grow the business that they have?
Okay. So I believe it's very important you to understand yourself for you to start your business. That's why the first phase of my mentoring is I business, because your business starts with you, your dreams, your desire, your heart, and your why. So I believe it is important. That's why I work the disc first, is the first thing, and your why. Because sometimes one of the things that I teach is about limiting beliefs. So the beliefs that your belief system that were created when you were a kid, since from 0 to 12 years old, everything that you hear, you feel, and you see create your belief system. Could be an empowering belief or limiting belief. So when you understand who you are, and you understand what is pulling you back or holding you back or getting you stuck, you are able to reprogram that. You are able to change this belief system for empowering beliefs. So, for example, Kimberly told us about the diagnosis that she had when she was a kid. This diagnosis was a limiting belief that she carried for so long. Always, I cannot do that, I cannot do detailed things, I cannot think on the be slow pace because I have this diagnosis. And during the process, knowing who she is and knowing the ability God gave to her to be adapt and go back to natural, she was able to understand, okay, I can manage this. I am not, this is not a sentence. I can, God gave me the ability to move and flow from the four profiles. So I believe it's very important for you to know yourself, for you to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and to know the saboteurs, the limiting beliefs, what is holding you back. That even that you have a dream and you want to go and you want to do it, sometimes you feel, oh, I don't want to take the risk, or I don't want to do this, and hold you back. What is holding you back? You are going to understand when you know yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, they are on the behavior profile, they are introvert and extrovert at the same time. So the extrovert want to go and fast pace and take the risks, but the introvert want to hold back and don't take risks. And so when you learn about you, you know, oh, okay, so now I need to balance that. So now I need to understand when I need to act with my introvert and when I need to act with my extrovert. So that's why it's very important. About the second question, it is how many business owners are willing to know about themselves.
Yeah.
So we come here in the US, we have the country. If I'm going to analyze the behavior profile of the country, US, they are more analyticals. So they are more task oriented and more analytical. So they don't want to go so deep in their emotions. So
Yeah.
this is normally the culture of the nation. That is different from, for example, Brazil. We are more emotionals. We are more, we go deep in the emotions and understand and go that. So it is here, I don't know the statistics, but it's really high, the number of business owners that only want to keep the, you know, the business and then professional matters. But when I go building during the mentoring, I go building everything and I go through the disc and the analysis and the assessment report, they understand and they start to open themselves. So we can identify the saboteurs, we can identify everything like that that is holding them back.
Yeah. I think it's important. I think, you know, I've done a ton of work. When we came together, I had been in a place in my life that I had done a lot of work. I'd taken a lot of tests. The way you put it all together was amazing. So I had these understandings of myself, but the application of that I hadn't yet learned. And I think that's the part that, you know, as people enter into the process, understanding how important it is to understand yourself so that you can understand others. Because if you can't understand others, you are going to keep hitting a wall, keep hitting a wall, keep hitting a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And you need to understand others, because even that is a business, and we used to say, we say business to business. Even that is business to business. Business is made by people. So
Yeah.
if you don't know about people, you don't know about business.
Yeah.
So your customers, they are people. So you need to learn about yourself and learn about others. So when you are willing to learn about yourself, and you are able to identify and be more empathetic to learn about others. So when you are a business owner and you have this mindset of learning about yourself and learning about others, it is easy for you, for example, to work on the marketing side to build the persona.
Yeah.
If you don't understand that, you don't understand the persona. For example, we were working yesterday about that, your persona. And I was like, okay, let's try to understand their routine. They failed on the weekend and they need to come back. So we understand the persona because we are learning about people. So yeah.
That's great. Well, we are down to our last few minutes, and I would love for the listeners to be able to connect with you. So do you want to share the best way to connect? Is it your website? What's the best way they can see what you do, and where can they find you?
Of course. So my Instagram is at Kelly EL Fischer. Fischer like is here, SC. So this is my Instagram. You can go there and connect with me, follow me, and talk to me direct message. But if you want to schedule a strategic session with me, you can go to my website, www.royalfisher.org. So my last name, royalfisher.org. And you can go there, discovery call with Kelly. And I will be honored to be with you and to have this time with you, and of course to learn more about you and your business. But you can follow me on Instagram as well and send me a direct message saying, Kelly, I want to have a time with you. I will be glad to talk with you.
Yeah. Well, you get my 5-star plus. So is that correct, Kelly? Is it the royalfisher.org? Is that the correct?
Yes.
Okay. It's Fischer.
Yes.
How she spells Fischer. So for those that are just listening, I want to make sure that they are able to get your URL, your website. So yes, you would get absolutely 5+ from me, and all the things, your heart, your mission, the way you connect with people, your understanding, information, all of it. It's been a pleasure. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was my honor to be here, to be in your house and talking with your audience. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And for all the people out there, listen to me. It's never late. You can start today, depending on your mission, what is you have in your heart, and the motivation to do it. So just do it. Like I tell them and I teach them, done is better than perfect. So
she's always telling me, get going. Come on, Kim, get going. Stop thinking about things. Just go.
Done is better than perfect. So
that's right. That's right. Done is better than perfect. I love it. Well, I also want to thank the listeners for being here today. You can find us every Thursday, at least for the next couple of weeks, at 1 p.m. Eastern time here on Aging Like a Badass.
Thank you.
This is Kimberly Price, your 40-something host of Aging Like a Badass. See you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4WN Radio, as we come together to break the rules, ignore the critics, and age like a badass.